It's gonna be like a scripture breakdown class. I got something to talk about. Because we got to figure out a way to go live on Clubhouse with the classes.
Yeah.
Like broadcast simultaneously as we're
As you do the class.
right. I should just monitor the chat if you could.
Call it down.
Let's see.
Audio's good.
Say what?
Audio's good. Audio.
Israel, I'm about to play something for a second while we get it popping, get it on.
You have to start following God. That's right. I know it's something that you probably never heard in your life, but it's something that you must learn to do. You have to follow God, man. And Christ came to teach you in the flesh how to follow God.
Right.
That was what Christ's whole life was. He went from city to city, just like we do, teaching how to follow God in the right way, because there was people back then that taught lies too. Right. There was people back then that taught false doctrines as well.
That's right.
It takes a man and a woman to make a child. So if a man is having sex with a man, guess what's not happening? You're not procreating. If a woman has sex with a woman, you're not procreating.
Right.
So guess what? That means our numbers are gonna go down.
Right.
Population control.
Talking about real love. Someone who can put his life down on the line so you can live, man. Keep going. Verse 21. I do not frustrate the grace of God.
I do not what?
I do not frustrate the grace of God.
I do not what?
I do not frustrate the grace of God.
We don't frustrate the grace of God, man. We don't tarry. We don't wait. We are aggressive, man. And on our aggression, we are going to serve God until the day we die, because we got to stay ready. And if we stay ready, we're going to get the kingdom of heaven, man. We're going to get the kingdom of heaven. There's no waiting when you come and serve God. Don't be patient to come and serve God. And in your grace, don't frustrate it.
The nations who oppressed you, who stole your land, who took your identity, who gave you bywords, you understand? If you join them, you're going to be destroyed with them. But if you turn to the Most High and keep His laws, statutes, and commandments, you're going to live in that terrible day when Christ returns. What did the Most High say? Read.
I will bring plagues.
He said I might bring.
I will bring.
I could bring.
I will bring.
I will bring. Read.
Plagues upon
What?
the world.
I'm going to bring what?
Plagues.
What?
Plagues.
What?
Plagues.
The Most High is going to bring plagues. And one of those plagues is known as the coronavirus, man. And you're afraid, like Donald Trump said, of the invisible enemy. Listen,
there's going to be more plagues. The coronavirus ain't nothing compared to what the Most High got in store for the unfaithful and the wicked and the evil of this earth, man.
That's right.
12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood.
Woe to him, which means destruction to him who built a town on blood. How in the hell you think you can build something on blood and everything is going to be all right? You know, in the world they got something that's called karma. Well, in the Bible it's called you reap what you sow.
That's right.
You reap what you sow. And what you see right now is a white man reaping what he has sown in this earth, man. That's what he has sown. Bloodshed.
You were sadly mistaken, man.
Right.
This is the death of America. That's what this place is. The fall of Babylon. We have a song in our organization we like to sing. It goes something like this, right? Babylon is falling. So rise no more. Rise no more.
You in the crib, but the ball outside. I get it on outside. From the dusk to the dawn outside. So in the morning outside, I'm catching wreck when they drawing outside. Cause it's a war outside. My sword drawn outside. This Excalibur, your bladder be all outside. Cause it's a war outside. I get it on outside. You in the crib, but the ball outside. I get it on outside. And that's a definite. Cannonball wrecking shit. Excellent. Rhyme Barack and bombing like the president. I remain strong. King Kong with the prevalence. I show you exactly what we do. That's how I represent. Hardcore, heaven sent. Chain on, hella bent. Throwing all black when they spot me like the leopard print. Oh, I got the braids in. Shades on. Made men. Cause we put in work to start the earth until it caved in. Walk strong, talk heavy, hold my own. You rock solid when we bout to leave the sword and stone. Nigga, we warriors. Hardcore, tracking the pride. To let the Hebrew speak, nigga, general eyes. And we talking super heavy, nigga, that's the surprise. With all scripture, street talk, word to Captain the Kai. Nigga, we blazing, ripping the mic with all facts. Doing the knowledge to the max till we cracking the pavement. UPK, y'all the one West Harlem, nigga. We spring forward and they falling like it's all.
I can shake your hand. I can respect you. You understand? I can respect you. You understand?
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put millions of my houses. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right.
Was never expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road. That a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. Main fact of them here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Cracking the sky, nuclear missiles are making it official, I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
Do you see just how it feels? Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Von Dale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold. I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. Devils design fire for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
Do you see just how it feels? Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Let's clap it up. Make sure every time I start the class, I'll be muted, right? This is Priest Officer with the Wagga Bar. This is the Law and History class Wednesday night. We're about to get it in. Yeah, man. All these relationship, content creators, influencers, they seem to have the ear of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And they can't fix our relationships and the problems that we have. We're going to get to that. We're also definitely going to get into some history. I tried to squeeze some history. I always want to bring something out that's historical. I always want to bring something out that's facts, that's factual, that hey, maybe you didn't know about, So that story that we're going to go into is about, the destruction of our women. So we're going to be talking about the content creators and the power of social media, and particularly how it's geared towards it targets our women, right? And so that's for a plethora of reasons, but we know in the truth, we know that our women are the weaker vessel. And we know that our women can be, emotional and make impulsive decisions and do things that move with the trends of America, or do things that move with the trends of social media. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the destruction of our women as far as the sexualization of our women, and how, like, me myself, as when I was growing up, and many people my age can attest that when we were growing up, they talked about, don't degrade women. You degrading women. Well, now today, women degrade themselves. You know what I mean? Now our women have taken on that spirit of America, right? And they've taken that spirit that the so-called, the white woman has, and proliferating themselves across, the earth and on social media. So we're going to get into that. If anybody has any questions, we'll get into that, right? So what's been happening? What's the current event? What's been going on? Anybody? Anybody online? What's the current event? I seen something with Dwayne Wade's wife.
I read that too. I read the article.
It's an article or is it a video? It's an article. Gabrielle Union said she on her last husband, she felt she can cheat on him because she paid all the bills or she paid for everything or something like that. I think it's something to that.
Yeah, I think her husband made the statement. I think it was her. But yeah, so it was going into, if I may, sir, it was basically going into how she used to date the linebacker. What's his name?
So he was an NFL player.
He was an NFL player, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he was they were together, and they had made the agreement that while they're together, their dating life wouldn't end. And they would still be able to date outside of the relationship.
Good. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing. Well, you just said that. That's a bad thing. The first thing I thought about was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, because I believe they had an open relationship like that, like where they could still date other people. So
I'm not sure. It's like
no, they did. So if you're telling me that that's what they were talking about, so with Gabrielle Union, that is the agreement, or that is what people say that the type of relationship Will Smith and Jada Pinkett had. You know what I mean? And we can see what the outcome was to that. We seen the outcome, and we actually seen how destroyed that sister and that brother is. Will Smith was broken over that woman, and he's still trying to get back. But yeah, so she said because she pays the bills, and see, this goes. What was you gonna say?
So she did say that.
She did say that. Yeah. Now, because she pays the bills, she basically can do what she wants, right? And that is the same thing that they say, or feminists say, that men are like. When a man pays the bills, or he's rich, or he's affluent, and he can do what he wants. You know, he can cheat on you, he can smack you, he can treat you like trash, because what are you going to do without him? He pays the bills, right? And that just shows you how destroyed we are in America, and how you got it.
Oh, so I'm actually just reading. This sister quoted the article, something that she said in the article, and she quoted something that Gabrielle Union said in the article. Okay, this is what she said.
Go ahead.
Quote: She felt entitled to cheat on her ex-husband, because she was paying all the bills. So that's a statement that she made.
Well, that's why he's her ex-husband.
Right.
Because she felt entitled to cheat on him because she was paying all the bills. Listen, it shouldn't matter. In the scriptures, it does not matter who makes the money. Hell, we're in captivity in America. So you got to get it how you live. You gotta do what you gotta do as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians in relationships. You might have a situation where a brother can pay everything. He has a great job. He can pay for you to go to school. He can pay for the house, the mortgage. He can pay for the car note to send the kids to private school. This is the type of life that women dream of, right? This is the mindset that America has put women in.
Right.
But a man can pay for all those things. Not only that, he can pay for just trips and going here and going, flying here, and what they call it, a vacation. He can pay for all of those things. But also you have situations where Blacks and Hispanics, brothers and sisters, help one another out, because that's just how it is. You know what I mean? That's how they get by. And that's their understanding and their agreement within their relationship, where sometimes the brother is doing 50% of the work and the sister is doing 50%, putting in 50%. Sometimes you have a situation, which is, I would say, a brother is blessed to have in this hellish kingdom, where the sister is doing everything, where she's paying all of the bills, and all the brother has to do is be great. You understand? Be the man that the Lord designed you to be. See, this is the thing. We get caught up in the money. And we get caught up in the money, and we're gonna go into that later. We get caught up in the money because we come from slavery.
Right.
We come from the bottom. If there was ever a people that is at the bottom of America, it is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
And so because of that mind state, our mind state is constantly about money. It's constantly about, getting the bag, securing the bag. You understand? It's constantly about getting degrees and getting better education. You know why that is? You know why that is? You know what that really is? You know what you do when you go and apply for a job or you're trying to get better education? You know what you're really trying to do? Anybody?
Make money. That's what.
Go ahead.
Make money.
You're trying to make money, yes, but what is the essence of making money? What is the foundation of what is the point of us making money? Probably giving it to me.
I would say so you can live.
So you can live, so you can survive.
Right.
Survival.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of making money, is for survival.
Right.
Like we get mixed up, and then we start to look at Americans, white people, Caucasians, and we start to dream to have the life that they have. So then it goes from, okay, I'm not just surviving. Now I want the affluent lifestyle that I see on television.
Yeah.
Now I want the things I see on social media. I just seen such and such Cardi B. She was on a yacht out there in the Caribbean. I want to do that. I want to go on a vacation, and so I can take pictures and be in the Caribbean.
Right.
I want to live that type of lifestyle. But at the base level, at the foundation level, what we're really doing is just trying to survive. When you put in an application, you're asking the white man to live. If somebody could give me that in Deuteronomy, what is it, 28, around 50 or something, we will go to him and want of all things. You're really just trying to survive. But we are people that like the front. We're people that like to act like it's something that it really isn't. See, there was a rapper. Some of y'all ain't old enough to know there was a rapper named MC Breed. He had a song that it said, "It ain't no future in you front." But we are people that like to front, and we like to act like it's something when it's really not. We like to show. So when you look at social media, you see all black people shining it. I mean, you see black and brown people shining on social media, and you will think that their life is a certain kind of way, but really it's not. Really, they're just trying to survive. Really, that's all it really is. Anybody got that precept?
Smart.
Might be around
28, 40.
It might be. I was gonna say around 49. It's 48. You will go to him in one of all things.
Oh, God.
All right.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things.
So we are serving our enemy in America, and how we serve our enemy. One of the avenues is what I was just talking about, is the fact that we have to get a good education. We strive to, try to get into college, try to go to a good college, try to learn a good trade, put in as many applications and resumes as we can. And that is because we are in want of all things. Really what it is that we're just surviving. The Lord said that that's what we would have to do. We would have to depend on another people for our survival. Like, we're so prideful as a people, we don't see it like that. We don't see that the things that we're doing on a daily basis to make money is us just really trying to survive and live. That's all. That when I go to work, it's a job. I clock in, I'm driving or whatever. But really, I don't want to be there. I do not want to be at work. I don't. And no one wants to be at work, but you got to be there. You got to pay your bills. You got to make money to what? To survive. So you don't end up on the streets. You understand? You got to make money to what? So you can do this and do that, and pay this and pay that, and make it here. And you got plans to take your family here, and you want to do this in the future, and you want to save this so you can do this in the future. And it's just, you're just trying to live. Can I live? Like Captain Katazai said, can I live? You're just trying to live. You're trying to survive. All right. But getting back to the topic is basically when we talk about social media, it has a strong, powerful grasp on people. If you could, you got that article that I sent to you? About the addiction. It's an article I sent to you about social media addiction. You don't have to read it all, but we're going to go into it and just get some understanding on that.
This is what is social media addiction from Healthline. If you find yourself losing several minutes or even hours at a time after using social media, you're not alone. While social media first started as a way to connect with friends and family, it's since evolved into a coveted hobby used by all age groups. You may enjoy social media and use it on a daily basis, but you are addicted to it. But are you addicted to it?
Right.
There's no such thing as an official diagnosis of social media addiction, but social media overuse is increasingly commonplace today, and it may have some serious repercussions to your physical and mental health.
Let me just hold on one second. Let me know in the chat if you can hear the young man, you can hear the brothers when they read or when they speak. Just give me a point. Just hold on.
Somebody said the same one, sir.
The water on that. The water.
Loud and clear.
Go ahead, brother.
Come on. What is social media addiction?
You don't have to start from the top. Just start where you left off at.
Okay. That is. I'll just read it.
Oh, you were starting where you left off?
Okay.
All right. No sweat.
Whether you use social media, connect with friends and loved ones, watch videos, or simply kill time, the popularity of this pastime has increased significantly over the last decade. This is especially the case in children and teenagers, as well as young to middle-aged adults. So how does a seemingly harmless hobby turn into an addiction? Like other types of behavioral addictions, using social media can influence your brain in harmful ways.
So it's going to go into, it's talking about social media and how it becomes an addiction. And now what it's going to do is it compares being on social media to the same type of reaction your body gets when you're on drugs. Go ahead.
You may use social media compulsively and excessively. You can become so accustomed to scrolling through posts, images, and videos that it interferes with other areas of your life.
So there's times where people can be on social media so much it interferes with other areas of their life. Go ahead.
Some experts estimate up to 10% of people in the United States have social media addiction. Mm-hmm. However, due to how common social media use is in general, the number of those who have social media addiction may be higher. Not everyone who uses social media will develop an addiction, since this activity is becoming more accessible to more people, though more people may develop an addiction to social media at some point in their lives. While social media can seem like mindless and relaxing fun, it actually has a significant effect on your brain. Whenever you log onto your favorite apps.
So it's talking about the effect that social media has on your brain. Go ahead, read it again. Whenever you log on.
Whenever you log on to your favorite apps, dopamine signals in your brain increase. These new neurotransmitters are associated with pleasure.
Right. So dopamine transmitters. Dopamine transmitters. These are the. This is what they talk about. Well, if you've ever been in NA meetings, this is the thing they talk about. What happens when you get high, when you do drugs, you get a pleasurable experience. Now they're comparing this also to going on your favorite app on social media. Go ahead. Now, I could be wrong if this is the same terminology, but I think I might be right. But if I am wrong, somebody please correct me in the comments. Go ahead.
When you experience more dopamine after using social media, your brain identifies this activity as a rewarding one that you ought to repeat. Such a reaction may be more felt whenever you make a post of your own and gain positive feedback.
So then now it's talking about the positive feedback. Now it's talking about you get that pleasurable experience when you're on social media. Now, if you make a post, you also get a great feeling when people like that post and they like that picture. You say it again, and they like that picture. Now, what you see a lot of times is when you see this constantly all over social media is right now we have an epidemic of sisters that are posting, pictures, and they just cannot stop because that good feeling they get from all of those likes, and not to mention, social media now is paying women to be half naked, right? A lot of sisters are half naked on Reels, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What is it? YouTube Shorts, and they get these likes, and they get these compliments, and it's a pleasurable experience. It's like being on a drug. It's like being on heroin. It's like being on, weed or whatever drug is the drug of people in the world's choice. And that experience is so good that when you don't, I think it's going to get into this. When the high comes down, then you be like, I think I want some more of that, right? Go ahead, keep reading.
The positive feelings experienced during social media use are only temporary.
Say that again.
The positive feelings experienced during social media use are only temporary.
So the positive feelings are only temporary, just like a drug. Like I'll use a drug that I know for myself from personal use is weed. Weed, you be high for like what? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Then you come down. It's temporary. It's not gonna last forever, right? And I've heard from people who've used crack cocaine and other drugs that the high is not even that long. It's like 10 minutes, right? Go ahead.
The positive feelings experienced during social media use are only temporary.
Mm-hmm.
The way your brain engages in its positive reinforcement is also seen in other addictions. Thus, as the feel-good dopamine wears off, you'll go back to the source. In this case, social media.
Stop, wait. You got to slow that down. Go back to that part. Thus, when it wears down.
Thus, as the feel-good dopamine wears off, you'll go back to the source.
So it says, as the feel-good dopamine wears down, you'll go back to the source. So right now we're talking about social media. That's the source. It's not a drug. It's not an actual drug, but it's social media. So when it wears down, when you done look and you done seen, 1,000 people have liked you shaking your behind on a reel, now you got to make another one. You go back, you're trying to get that pleasurable feeling again of those neurotransmitters in your brain, that pleasurable feeling, the same pleasurable feeling that people that use drugs or drug addicts feel, and the reason why they're so addicted. Go ahead.
Thus, as the feel-good dopamine wears off, you'll go back to the source, in this case, social media, for more.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, social media can be a welcome distraction if you are isolated due to work or an illness. The more you engage, the more your brain will tell you that this is an activity that can help reduce loneliness.
Right.
Which may not.
So you can drop that, right? The point is that social media is addictive. It can be addictive. Now, what the brother just read is that they say about 10% of the population can be addicted to social media, but they don't really know the numbers now because every day it's an increased usage of people using social media. Starting off their first time being on TikTok, first time being on Instagram or Facebook. But the point is that it can be addictive. And what that does is it also puts people, which are content creators, they call them influencers. They call them influencers, like they influence people.
Right.
What they say is that you want to make sure that you are not negatively influenced by nobody. Don't let nobody when we were growing up, is that don't let nobody influence you. Don't let nobody peer pressure you. Another way of influencing you. Well, they call these content creators influencers, and regular people like you and me are what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? They're starting to frequently be more in front of your face on social media. So what social media did was take average people with an opinion, average people that have a viewpoint, and put them in front of your face. The problem is that people are very much influenced by what other people say, and that images that we see, just like television, A lot of times they would say that television was horrible. There's a lot of countries that did not want television in their country because they knew it would destroy the morals of their people. So they're like, we don't even want television in our country, right? Just like television, because they said these images, people are influenced by what they see in these images. And a lot of us like to think that images they don't do anything to us. It's all about you and how strong you are in your mind. Well, if images didn't have any power, then why in the hell people spend billions of dollars in order to put their commercials at the halftime show on Super Bowl? Or they spend money in order to put their commercials at some event during some event? It's because they know that the chances of them selling more hamburgers or selling more diapers or whatever the commercial is about will increase when people see it on that commercial. Go ahead, Oscar Ward.
Constant. If I could add to that, everybody is influenced by something. That's what I think, because a child is going to be what his parents reflect.
Exactly.
Then he goes to school, and now he's influenced. Now he wants the Jordans, or now he wants to listen to this music because the people he's around influenced him in some way.
Right.
So you're always like you're being influenced all the time.
Exactly.
So it's not like something that like you can avoid.
You can't avoid being influenced. Like the brother said, let's clap it up for the brother. But what he said is correct. We walk outside our doors and we're influenced from the minute we leave the house. We're influenced. You walk outside at the bus stop. The bus stop got a advertisement, right? Yeah. You go to school. You got kids that are influencing you. Kids influence other kids in the way they talk.
Right.
Some kids never ever said a cuss word in their life till they get around some kids that they get along with, and these kids, all they do is cuss. So they're like, oh, it's cool. It's cool to talk like that. You know what I mean? We're influenced by so many factors, right? But what the brother also said, which was the main point, is that how you raise your child, how you train your child is what's going to stick with them. Like when it comes to my children, I know that they're going to go in a world full of influences, right? But I don't give a damn because I teach them the laws of God. Right. So by teaching them the laws of God, they're at school and they're telling their teacher, like, we can't eat that. That's pork. Or we can't celebrate that. We don't celebrate Halloween. We don't do that. You know what I mean? They're going to have to go through the world on their own and be exposed to all of these different influences that are going to come at them. But when you train up a child in a certain way, they'll already know what to expect, and they'll already have a defense or immunity to the things that they might encounter, right?
Right.
So like I was talking about influences in things as far as visual, what we see, what we hear. So here, what you see a lot of times on social media, people talking about relationships. I think I want to go into this, but I might be forgetting something. Let me just make sure. See, this is where your optimal preparation comes into play, right? I'm prepared. I was 80% prepared. I should have been 100% prepared. Well, I just don't want to skip anything. All right. But give me train up a child. Somebody give me train up a child. Why? I think about it. Israel, if you got a question, chat. That's what I was going to say. So when it comes to that, right? When it comes to, we just read about the influences, we read about the addiction of social media. We want to just keep that in mind, that social media is very strong. Now, social media is it's a gift and a curse. Social media is a gift because for the most part, a lot of you listening right now online, you heard about the truth through social media. Now, the ISUPK has been around before computers and social media. So brothers that's been around for a long time, they didn't have the luxury of having a device in their hand and for the first time hearing the truth of the Bible and hearing the truth about their people. They had to be walking in the street corner and see some radical niggas telling you that Jesus Christ is black and that you are God's chosen people. So, but to get back to the point is that social media connects, the internet connects people, right? So that's a positive thing. Like I said, social media is a gift and a curse, because the curse is the things that are put in front of our people. The curse is the things that destroy our people. Those things that push our people to do things that are not comely, right? Like get in front of the camera and twerk, or record someone, doing violence to another brother or sister. These are the type of things that are the curse of social media. You see so many things on a daily basis that you say, why in the hell would you even record that? Why would you post that? I see things every day where I say, why in the hell, who in the hell would think to post something like this? What's wrong with you? Who raised you? Right. You understand? Who raised you? You know what I mean? But social media has a gift and a curse element to it. There are some great things about social media. Now, for instance, you cannot, there are places that you would never have seen. There's places you've never would see if it wasn't for social media. Right. There's information that you would never learn if it wasn't for social media, right? There's some knowledge in another continent that you wouldn't have access to. There's a book that's in another continent, or files or information or research that you wouldn't have access to if it wasn't for social media. They're called, downloads, PDFs, things, information that you can get that's easily accessible. That if it wasn't for social media, you would have to hop on a plane and fly and go get it and get a printout. You understand? So it does have benefits, but there is also a dark side, and that dark side is Black and Hispanic people taking a negative advice. And what I'm talking about is our relationship advice, family advice. Well, when it comes to relationships, it is our family. But there are a lot of people on social media that have an opinion or have a viewpoint that they're talking that they're giving to people that is destroying our people, and it's not helping them. It's not helping them at all, right? Give me that if you could.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 6. Mm-hmm. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's what the brother just brought out about, the influences, and you train your child and they go out in the world. Well, you train up your child in the right way with the law, statutes, and commandments, they won't depart from it. They'll always remember that. When they're in those situations, when they're at a party and somebody's trying to pass them a joint, they'll remember that. When they're in a situation when they're at school and somebody is saying, did you give me a Valentine's card? Or are you going to be a part of the Valentine's party? They'll remember that. They'll say, no, I don't celebrate Valentine's. Teacher, can you send me to another teacher's class that's not having a party today? They'll remember what they were taught and what they learned, because that's a part of them. And it's kind of like this. It's like you hear situations where it's a racist situation with some young, Caucasian kid, and people are wondering, people are shocked at it. But according to the Bible, the way you train your child is how they're going to be out in public. Right. So if this child is being racist, they say, well, he had to learn it from his parents. He had to see it in his household to come out and call another kid an N-word, or call a brown kid a beaner. You know what I'm saying? He had to be in the household with racist parents. You know what I mean? That goes the same for us, how the Bible says, as Blacks and Hispanics, we should train up our children in the way they should go. I don't train my children to go out in the world and call white people honkies. I do let them know that their oppressor is the devil, right? I do let them know that. I do let them know that he's the devil. You can't trust him. You can't trust him as far as you know. You can throw, but you don't. You don't go out in the world and say and slap him across the head and say, "You damn devil." You don't do that, but you are aware of your history and who you're dealing with, right? You can drop that.
If I could, real quick, sir.
Go ahead, give me that.
I just want to make a comment. That reminds me of something that I saw regarding Little Boosie. He shared a video. I think it was like his niece, somebody related to him, and the mother or maybe a female family member of that little girl was checking her because she had beat up some girl for fighting her. So the
girl protected her sister?
Yeah, her little sister, right?
Okay.
And she's young too, probably like 10, 12 years old. And she's like, why you beat up that girl like that? Where'd you learn that from? She's like, I learned it from Boosie. And Boosie showed the video and he said, I'll take responsibility. I did say that, blah, blah, blah. And then right after she said that, it showed the song of Boosie where he's like, love your family. If she hit your sister, beat her ass.
Okay.
So she got it from the song.
She got it from the song. Right.
She reacted.
Right. Yeah. Good night. See, and that just shows you that children do hear what you say. Children do understand. There's a lot of stories where Black people will tell you, like, if you out there outside and somebody hit your brother or do something to your sister and you don't do nothing, when you get home, I'm gonna beat your behind. You understand? So that's a lot. You growing up in our community, you hear that a lot, like to protect your siblings and like it's only sometimes it's not natural, but I would say that it should be natural, but it's not natural as far as like, you have to instill in your children certain values, certain rules, certain lines not to cross. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to instill in your children not to trust everybody. When I was growing up, the main thing was don't talk to strangers. If a man drive up and he's trying to give you candy, just keep walking. Don't say, say no. So the way you train your child is how they're going to move through the world. A lot of our people are very destroyed in America and say, well, man, it don't matter how you train how you raise your kid, man. They still probably turn out LGBTQ. Nah, bro. That's because of the world and Christianity why we think that way. What you instill in your children is what they're going to remember when they're out in the world. And that's going to be their defense. And that's going to be their immunity against the wiles of the devil and all of the things that will come up against them in the world. Because you can't be with your children at all times. You understand? With the girl influenced by a little.
So like I posted the link.
Okay.
Okay.
You posted the link. Okay. Yeah. The water. Yeah, that's for anybody that wants to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. The water. All right. So I got I'm trying to do my blog thing. I got a blog here where I go into this topic. But if we could, there's another one I gave you just to get back on influences. There's another that I sent you. There's one more article I sent you, and then we're going to get into this article, right? I believe it might be. Let me see. Let me make sure. I think it might be a statistic. Yeah, go ahead and give me that.
This is social media today. New research shows that 71% of Americans now get news content via social media platforms.
So it says 71%, right?
Come on.
So research has shown that 71% of people get their news from social media. See, it used to be when you get your news from the newspaper. It used to be when you get your news, you get it from the news on television, like the morning news or the evening news. But it's saying now that 71% of people get their news, like when they want to hear about things, they get it from social media. They turn to social media for news. Go ahead.
After last week's Capitol riots, the focus has once again turned to social media.
So what is the date on this again? Because this is talking about the Capitol riots.
January 12th, 2021.
So this is this ain't that long ago, right? It's probably higher now. Probably 75% of people get their news from social media. Go ahead.
After last week's Capitol riots, the focus has once again turned to social media and the role it plays in communicating critical information and balancing the need for accuracy in such messaging with people's freedoms to be able to share whatever they choose.
So social media plays a very important role in information. It has taken the forefront in information. Why am I bringing this out? Is because when I'm about to talk about content creators and influencers that speak to a certain demographic and they speak to a certain type of people in relationships, these people have the ear of God's people, right? These people have the influence over a lot of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You can drop that, right? So we're going to get into this. Wait. This is something I want to go into. I forgot again. Sarah Bartman. So we're going to get. So Sarah Bartman also goes with this, right? This will be our history. This will be the history that we're going to get into tonight. It will be the history of Sarah Bartman. Now, I just threw this in. I did not plan to have this in, but I realized at the last minute that I'm not bringing out any history. This is a history class. I got to bring out some history. So this history goes good with what I'm bringing out. And if I could, I would say that when you look at the way that our sisters, Black and Hispanic sisters today are degrading themselves on social media for likes, views, clicks, monetization, money. This is something that they didn't have to do before in history. This actually happened to women. The so-called white man degraded our women without them getting anything. You know what I mean? So this is something that, like I said earlier, when I was growing up, it would say, why are men degrading women? And this is something that women have learned. Now, social media has turned it up to 1,000 now, where our sisters are degrading themselves in order to get a check, in order to get, money, in order to just get attention. And we read that attention is like, the same feeling that you get when you're getting high. So if you could give me that story, and I'm gonna pull up a picture. Let me see if I can pull up something on Sarah Bartman. You got an article on her? All right, just you can go ahead and start reading.
This is the story of Sarah Bartman from Black Past. Sarah Bartman was one of the first Black women known to be subjugated to human sexual trafficking.
So Sarah Bartman was one of the first women to actually be, subjugated to human sexual traffic. This is what they always talk about. This is something that they bring up, and not to say it in a bad way, but this is something they bring up when you talk about slavery, they would say, well, slavery is going on today. It's called human trafficking, to make it seem or minimize what happened to Black people in the transatlantic slave trade. All right. Go ahead.
Sarah Bartman was one of the first Black women known to be subjugated to human trafficking. She was derisively named the Hottentot Venus by Europeans.
So she was named Hottentot Venus by Europeans. Did it get to where she came from?
No, sir.
It didn't.
Kind of does in the next paragraph.
And let me just say, because I'm going to put some pictures up that are how can I say they're for educational purposes. And it's crazy that I have to say this because you know they could shut the live down if I don't say that this is for educational purposes. Go ahead, keep reading.
She was derisively named the Hottentot Venus by Europeans, as her body would be publicly examined and exposed inhumanly throughout the duration of her young life.
Inhumanely.
Examined and exposed inhumanely throughout the duration of her young life.
So her body was examined and exposed inhumanely throughout her life. Is that what it said?
Okay.
I'm gonna put this picture up for 1 second. Screen share. Go ahead, keep reading.
Her experience reinforced the already existing and extremely negative sexual fascination with African woman bodies by the people of Europe. Sarah Bartman was born in 1789 at the Gamtus River, now known as Eastern Cape in South Africa. Bartman and her family were members of the Ganaswasab group of the Khoikhoi.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. So now, why I'm bringing this out is not because Sarah Bartman was, she was an Israelite. She was African, but she's from a specific tribe in South Africa, and I'm going to get that real quick. Let me get that. Let me get who she was. Just hold that 1 second. I think I can find it. Might be able to find that video. There's a video right now that's floating around with that tribe. It's for young men from that particular tribe. They're called the what? The Khoikhoi?
Hoikah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Where they was doing that.
They're like clicking. They're like, yeah. So there are people that a lot of people say that they possibly that Asians derive from them, but we know that's not true. We know that Chinese, Japanese come from the sun. They derive from Lot's daughters laying with their father. In fact, if you look up in the scientific name for Chinese, it's Mongoloid, right? Which actually means Down syndrome. So we know from a biblical perspective that these people are not them and people associate them with the Asian nations is because of their sort of flat face and slanted eye, almond-shaped eyes. I probably won't be able to find it, but there is a video. Maybe some of y'all have seen it. There's a video with it's like 4 tribal boys in there. They're like clicking and they're making sounds and they're introducing themselves in their language. We're just going to go on for time's sake. Just go ahead.
Bartman grew up in a colonial farm where she and her family most likely worked as servants. Her mother died when she was age 2, and her father, who was a cattle driver, died when she was still a young girl. By her teenage years, Bartman married a Khoikhoi man who was a drummer. They had a child together who died shortly after birth. When Bartman was 16, her husband was murdered by Dutch colonists. Soon after,
once again, she's from South Africa, and that's where a lot of Dutch. That's where they were at. Said her husband was murdered by Dutch colonists. Go ahead.
Soon after, she was sold into slavery to a trader named Peter William Caesar, who took her to Cape Town, where she became a domestic slave to his brother Hendrik. On October 29, 1810. Although she could not read, 21-year-old Bartman supposedly signed a contract with William Dunlap, a physician who was a friend of the Caesar brothers. This contract required her to travel with the Caesar brothers and Dunlap to England and Ireland, where she would work as a domestic servant, since technically slavery had been abolished in Great Britain. Additionally, she would be exhibited for entertainment purposes. Bartman would receive a portion of earnings from her exhibitions and would be allowed to return to South Africa after 5 years. However, the contract was false on all details, and her enslavement continued for the remainder of her life.
So she was supposed to just be in this slavery for a couple of years, but it continued for the remainder of her life. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up a picture. I'm gonna pull up a video with the Khoi people, right? The people where she derived from. So, just so you can have we're gonna pull up a picture real quick, just to show you that she was not. She wasn't black, but we're going to get to the point of why I'm bringing this story up.
They are, in fact, narrowly related but culturally distinct groups of populations that have occupied South Africa for up to 140,000 years. Khoi nations and San are grouped under the single term Khoisan as representing the indigenous substrate population of southern Africa prior to the hypothesized Bantu expansion reaching the area roughly between 1,500 and 2,000 years ago. Many Khoisan peoples are the direct descendants of a very early dispersal of anatomically modern humans to southern Africa before 150,000 years ago. Some 22,000 years ago, they were the largest 100,000 Khoisan, who are also known as Bushmen, remain. They are variously described as the world's first or oldest people, Africa's first or oldest people, or origins. It is suggested that the ancestors of the modern Khoisan expanded to southern Africa from East or Central Africa before 150,000 years ago, so that by the beginning of the mega drought 130,000 years ago, there were two integral population clusters in Africa. To the Khoisan and bearers of L16 in Central.
So yeah, that's Sarah Bartman descends from the Khoisan or Khoi people in South Africa. If you want to go ahead and look that up and do some research, go ahead.
Bartman was first exhibited in London in the Egyptian Hall at Pekat.
Wait, scoop that. So, oh, you good. I like it. Go ahead.
Bartman was first exhibited in London in the Egyptian Hall at Piccadilly Circus.
So because of her body, they would exhibit her in different places in Europe because of her body shape. Because she, of course, it ain't just Israelites, but any people other than Europeans had some type of shape to them. But because she had a different kind of shape, they would exhibit her like a circus animal. All right. Go ahead.
On November 24th, 1810, her book Freedom House quickly drew the attention of British abolitionists who charged Dunlap and the Cesars with holding Bartman against her will. Against Bartman after Pieter Cesar produced the contract that had been signed by Bartman. Bartman was also testified that she was not being mistreated. The publicity generated by the court trial increased Bartman's popularity as an exhibit. She was taken on tours throughout England and by 1812 as far away as Limerick, Ireland.
So she was taken on tours throughout England to show her body, to show her, her body shape, and to put her on display. You understand? Keep reading.
In September 1814, after staying 4 years in Great Britain, Bartman was taken to France and sold to S. Roux, an exhibitor who showcased animals, who put Bartman on public display in and around Paris. After at the Palais Royal, he also allowed her to be sexually abused by patrons willing to pay her defilement. Roux garnered considerable profit due to the public's fascination with Bartman's body. Sarah Bartman died in Paris on December 29, 1815, at the age of 26.
So she died at the age of 26, but before she died, she would be put on display and even allowed to be sexually molested by people that wanted to Europeans that wanted to touch her, wanted to have sex with her, fondle her, molest her. And read that again. When did she die?
Sarah Bartman died in Paris on December 29, 1815, at the age of 26 for unknown reasons.
So she died of unknown reasons. So they didn't know why she died. Right? Go ahead.
Even after her death, many of her body parts would go on display at the Musée de la Homme, Museum of Man, in Paris, to support racist theories about people of African ancestry.
So her body parts on display to support about Black people. It's called scientific racism. And I brought this book out about 2 weeks ago where, in fact, during that time of scientific racism, what they would do was they would look at the skulls. They would look at the skulls and compare skulls. So they had Negroid skulls, Caucasoid skulls, and Mongoloid skulls. And they would, on this basis, because of the shape of the skulls and the size of the skulls, they would say that white people are a superior race. Right? And in one book, this book called Black Image in the White Mind, when they started to study the skulls of Black people that they had in slavery, in their mind, they thought that they had the Egyptians. They thought that Black people in slavery were Egyptians. But to their surprise, when they started comparing skulls, they got their hands on some Egyptian skulls. And of course, they had skulls for Black people that was in slavery. And they compared them. And what they realized is that Black people were not, in fact, the Egyptians, but Black people were the slave class in Egypt. By looking at the skulls, they said Black people had been relegated to the same servile position in America as they were in ancient Egypt. So so they were blown away, and they wasn't trying to research the skulls for that point. They were just trying to prove that they were superior. During this time, it was called scientific racism of the races. All right. So let me put this picture up. Go ahead and keep reading. Now I have to say this. This is for scientific, educational purposes. All right. Go ahead.
Even after her death, many of her body parts will go on display at the museum.
So while I put this up, what the brother just said, even for her death. Wait, say that again.
Even after her death?
Even after her death. Go ahead.
Many of her body parts will go on display.
Many of her body parts went on display. They would display her body. Go ahead.
At the Musée de l'Homme, Museum of Men in Paris, to support racist theories about people of African ancestry. Some of the body parts remained on display until 1974.
So some of her body parts have remained on display since 1974, and I think her people, you know, they rallied to get her body, her remains. Is it going to get into that? Go ahead.
In 1994, South African President Nelson Mandela formally requested that Bartman's remains be returned to South Africa. On March 6, 2002, her remains were returned and buried at Hankey in the Eastern Cape province.
So I just want people to know that this is actually Sarah Bartman's body that was put in the museum after her death. And I just want people to know that this is like no disrespect. This is just for educational purposes, but this is for the understanding that your oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and that he will take a person and parade them and allow them to be molested and put on like a circus freak. And then when they die, he puts their body in a museum, right? And holds on to their remains, and the people have to ask for their people's remains to be brought back. Your oppressor is the devil.
Right.
You understand? And this is something else. There's another lesson in this. There's another lesson in this. This is what happens on social media with women. See, before they used to do this to women, to black women. She wasn't a sister, but she still was a woman. They used to do this because they could. And now our sisters do it themselves. Now our sisters proliferate and parade themselves so that some weirdo in some corner of the world, in Europe, some weirdo, some Tom, Dick, and Harry can get off. And these platforms pay our sisters to do this thing, to destroy themselves. And I asked the question, why is it that our women have to be the whores of the world? Why do they have to be pushed as the women twerking and gyrating in a house full of goddamn kids and no men? Why is that? It's because the Lord ain't with us. It's because we turn our back on the Lord. It's because we don't have no understanding, and we die and we destroy ourselves for a lack of knowledge. You could drop that. Are we still up and running? Check the live real quick. Good. So now let's get to this. The content creators. Let's get to this. How this is something that black women especially and black men have to take in account when you're listening to these social media content creators, influencers that do influence you. You can't say that they don't influence you. We read the statistics. We know that you are influenced. We didn't bring out one more statistic, but I didn't send it to you. We're not going to worry about it because it's in here. Okay. So if you could, let's start reading that.
That's right. Relationship content creators / influencers, are they helping or hurting the black community?
So are relationship content creators, are they hurting or helping the black community? That is the question. Now, this is a blog that I created. This is a blog that I wrote, and we're going to dissect it and we're going to go into it. All right, let's go.
Some of the things we hear are black women don't take accountability, and a black woman shouldn't be going 50-50 with a man. A black man should be able to pay all the bills. A If he's not doing that, then he's no good.
Right. So drop. You can just hold it right there. So these are some of the things we hear. We hear that women don't take accountability. This is from these content creators. We hear that women don't take the accountability. We hear that you shouldn't go 50-50 with a man. And we also hear that a man should be paying all of the bills and taking care of everything. And if he's not doing that, then he is worthless. He's no good. If you could, give me Hebrews 13:4. Hebrews 13:4.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
Listen, marriage, being together with your woman is honorable to the Most High. Being one is honorable. You understand? And the thing is that we're supposed to be in it together. We're supposed to be in it together. I opened up with saying that, like, you have different type of relationships. If you can have a relationship where if a brother has the ability or he has the blessing that he has an occupation or a job where he can take care of everything, that would be beautiful. That would be great. In fact, let me ask this question: what man wouldn't love that experience? I know any brother experience to know that he could provide, he can take care of us financially, he can pay for everything, right? It would be a sense of security. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury in America. Unfortunately, it's just, certain Blacks and Hispanic brothers have that luxury to be able to do that. Unfortunately, we have to go to another people for in want of all things. We have to, I brought it out earlier. We have to survive. And with our survival comes, things that can just get us by, or things that can not only get us by, but give us a great life and allow us to do more things with the money, with the amount of money that we earn, right? But marriage is honorable for us to be together, to stick together, you understand, and be down for one another, right? If you could give me Deuteronomy 22:5, right?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22 and verse 5.
Wait, hold on. Just hold that. I want you to read. Go ahead and read the next paragraph. Go to the next paragraph. Read that.
You see a lot of this on social media, which has been a trend for the last few years now. Probably the most talked about topics are that of modern women, gender roles, and relationship advice. So a lot of content creators find their niche in that one specific corner of social media. The vast majority target women, and there's a small but growing genre for men, or the manosphere that caters to men.
So you see a lot of this social media, and the topic is always about modern women and gender roles. You understand? So give me Deuteronomy 22:5.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 5.
Gender roles.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Here's a gender role. A woman shouldn't wear what pertaineth to a man. Go ahead.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
And a man should put on a woman's garment. These are the gender roles that the Bible speaks of. The Bible speaks of gender roles as what America calls is love. What is it? LGBTQ. America calls that's love. Love is love. Love is love. But the Bible speaks about gender roles as a woman should wear what a woman should wear, and a man should wear what pertains to a man also. So when you look at the gender roles that America pushes, or that our people push, or should I say, the content creators push onto our people, are they actually lined up with the Bible? Give me 1 Timothy 2:11.
Okay. The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection.
Keep going.
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
So, keep going.
Nor to assert authority over the man.
This is what I want out of the scripture. Now, they talk about gender roles. But in America, what you see when it comes to gender roles in the Black and Hispanic community is women emasculating men. You see women taking control of relationships. You see men that are afraid to put their foot down or to say or correct a woman. But the Bible says a woman should never usurp authority over a man. That's a gender role in the Bible. They had a saying when I was growing up. It was called "Know Your Role." So as Black men, Black and Hispanic men, we need to know our role. We need to know what is required of us. And as Black women, you should also know your role. But see, these content creators, these influencers are telling you your role is to get what you want. Your role is he needs to pay for everything. Your role is to run everything. And that's not what the Bible says. And these people destroy our people. Why? Because we just read where our people are heavily influenced by content creators. And specifically, I'm talking about the content creators that speak to relationships in the Black and brown community. I want you to give me what I want. Give me Genesis 2:18. Get more gender roles. All right. And we can go into Proverbs 31 woman. We can get into that Proverbs 31 woman. And I feel like women gonna hate that when they hear what the Proverbs 31 woman is all about. How she's really about that life. Go ahead.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2, and verse 18. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him.
So the Lord said that when after he created man, after he breathed the spirit of life or the breath of the Most High into Adam, paraphrasing, and he became a living soul, meaning he was already alive, but once he got understanding, the Lord said he needs somebody comparable to him. He needs a help me. Go ahead.
And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field.
Yeah, that's all I wanted. He needed a help me. He needed a woman, right? That's what Adam needed. He needed a woman. He needed a companion, a help meet, meaning someone to help this man. Right. To help this man. Let me say it again. A help meet, someone to help this man. Not pay all the bills. Not, pay for everything. Not, agree with everything the woman say do. But a woman that would help the man. See, the problem with our people is that we use a European, how can I say it? We use we put Euro American standards on each other when those things don't work for us. Right. Because we're the Israelites. We're God's chosen people, and that has never been our culture. That's why what America stands for has never worked for us. Now, look at us. We say it all the time. We're the most talented. We're the best singers. We invented everything. We work and build America through our labor in the plantation. But when it comes to who we are, Salaki, I lost my point. When it comes to who we are, right? Why is it that we can't get over the hump? Why is it that if you really look at us, you would think that we should have surpassed the white man, the African, the Arab, all of those people a long time ago. Because you see that, damn, everybody follows us. Everybody is using our flavor.
Right.
Even Africans use our flavor. I said it in class that dude, Burner Boy, he's real big right now. He's copying the West Indians. He's copying the Benjamites. Akon been saying, he done said some sly stuff about us, about black people, but he done profited. His music is based on the flavor of black people in America.
Right.
He didn't come with no Senegalese. He from Senegal. He didn't come with no music from Senegal. He made music that was nigga music. You know what I'm saying? And he made millions off of it. And when he made his millions, he went back to his people and he started making deals with China and trying to build something for his people because he's not us. But the point is that everybody takes from us. Everybody is entertained by us. Everybody uses us. Everybody, looks to us for answers.
Right.
Then why are we not better than everybody? That's a question that black people should ask themselves. That's a question that you should ask. Because our households have been divided, so that's probably the main reason we can't be greater. That is a great answer. That's great. That's a great answer. That's correct. Right? Where are we at in this?
One of the third paragraph. Blog.
Drop it down to the third. The vast majority. Give me 2 Timothy 3 and 5. Right? Because it says the vast majority of these content creators, they target women. They target women, but of course, there's a growing audience for the manosphere, which targets men. It talks about relationships for men. 2 Timothy
3:5.
2 Timothy 3 and 5.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into the houses and lead captive silly women laden.
They creep into the houses and lead. I want you to go up to maybe go up to 3 and 4.
Okay. Verse 4. Traitors, heady, high-minded.
This started 3 and 1.
Okay. The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves.
Men shall be lovers of their own selves, right? In these last days. Go ahead.
Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful.
We see that all the time. We see a lot of unthankful people. Go ahead.
Unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God.
Lovers of pleasure. I say this all the time. If you ever pay attention to me or the classes I do, this is something I keep in my mouth. That black and Hispanic people, we love pleasure more than we love righteousness. So we want to do the things that make us feel good more than the things that don't make us feel good. But they actually serve the Lord. They actually make the Lord look down on us and be like, damn, y'all doing a good job. What you got?
Keep going, sir. Verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses.
For this sort are they that creep into houses. Now the question that I ask is, why is it that this social media wave, it targets women? This social media wave of talking about, black and brown relationships. Go ahead.
And lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts.
So I think you missed a word in there. Silly, you should have said silly, gullible.
It
Just say silly.
Come on.
It doesn't say anything about gullible.
Sorry, it says, "For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts."
I'll take that. So it's about silly women led away with diverse lusts. Also, give me the weaker vessel. That's what I want. Give me the weaker vessel. That's sure. So the reason why they target the women, why this is geared towards women, is because women, and you know what, you don't have to get it. Our sisters and women in general are the weaker vessel, right? You're impulsive. You think with your emotions. And some of these things you might be feeling. And when you hear these influencers say these things about relationships, like, girl, you need to be single. You need to stay independent. You agree with these things. But are these things actually helping or fixing the problem? Is the point that I'm bringing out. Now, if you could, because of time's sake, I want you to just go down to the next paragraph, right?
Oh,
yeah. Of this blog, of this blog, right?
okay. What I'm expressing in my frustration with hearing the same talking points made over and over again without solutions that don't leave black men and women in the same starting spot from where they began.
So this is the thing. The talking points that these content creators have, they basically leave black people, Hispanic people, Native Indian people in the same spot. And what is that? Men versus women. Us versus us. Right? So it is very frustrating for myself and any other people to see that these people have a huge following and they have the ear of God's people and they have the ear to an influence. They can either fix with, great righteous advice, or they could destroy or keep them in the same place with mediocre advice. And so give me Ecclesiastes 7:7, right? Because when we look at what has happened to black and Hispanic people, and then today people look at our family structure, and you say, what is wrong? You look at the crime, you look at us killing one another, you look at the separation or the dissension between men and women, and you say, what is wrong? Why are you like this? And well, you have to go to the root of the problem. You have to look at what has happened to us as a people. And then when you see the history, when you see what has happened, then you might have some understanding of like why we do the things we do in our community, why we live the life, why we feel the way we feel, why we treat each other the way we treat each other in our community. Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
So oppression maketh a wise man mad. So when you see what has happened to us, you should be upset, but also you should consider. You should also say, okay, I see what has happened to my people, and I see my people tearing things up. I see my people dysfunctional, on drugs, stealing, robbing, lying, hurting one another. And instead of me getting upset at them and feeling some type of way towards them, I'm going to remember the oppression that happened to them. And I'm not going to hold them to that. That's how we feel in the ISUPK. We're not going to hold. Listen, I do not. When I see brothers, tearing things up and destroying and being on one and doing the things which I know is wrong, my first instinct is not to be upset at my people and say, why the hell are they doing that? Like, these niggas is tripping. No, I feel compassion on my people because I understand what they have been through. I know the why, right? So what people naturally do is talk about the what. They talk about the what. Like, what our people are doing, what they look like, but they don't ask the why or the how did they get like that.
Right.
How did they get like that? That's the problem with society today. That's the problem with, America. That's the problem with even Black and Hispanic people that are not in the truth. They look at Black people and say, what they say is, they look at the situation and say, they look at the what. They look at like what we are doing. These niggas is tearing the club up. They shooting the neighborhood up. These women, they doing all of this. They doing all of that, but nobody ever goes and says, like, how did this happen? Nobody ever looks at what started this thing. How did it get to this point? Everybody is focusing on what's going on right now instead of asking the question, what happened in the past? And I believe Black people are smart enough to go look at the past and say, okay, now I understand. No one has never put it in front of me like this. Nobody has never said, listen, this is X, Y, and Z. This happened. Black women were subjugated. Black women was, they had to be, General Hyman brought this out. They had to be independent. Black men could lay with a woman, have a baby, and they could be away. Because you ask the question, why is there so many single mothers? Everybody ain't just, oh, this is my situation. No, it ain't just your situation. It's too many single mothers for it just to be your situation. This is a national problem amongst Black people.
Right.
It's too many brothers that's not in the house for it to just be, well, it's my situation. She was crazy. It's too many brothers that are not in the household. This is a national problem. It's not just your situation. At some point you got to say, this is bigger than a personal problem. This is bigger than you. This is something that the Lord has ordained. This is a curse. This is something that is coming from the Lord, because we still have people that's growing up right now that 5 years from now, right now they're saying, I will never be a single mother. Right now the father's saying, I'll be in my kid's life. And 5 years from now, she's going to be a single mother and he's not going to be in this kid's life. It's bigger than you. Right. It's too many of us this is happening to. Maybe the prophecies of the Bible are real. Right. Maybe the fact that we're a God-chosen people and we refuse to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, and we suffer the punishments and the curses are real.
Right.
You understand? That's something that we're going to have to consider. Right? Let me see where we at. Let me see. I want to speed it up, so we're going to skip a lot. I want you to skip down to now the self-love relationship. Skip down there.
Now these self-love relationships. Sorry. Now these self-love relationship content creators have amassed huge followings and subscribers through their platforms. Unfortunately and understandably, it is the controversial / negative viewpoints that the masses eat up about Black relationships.
Right.
The conversation is centered around money and gender roles. It never actually changes or elevates the It never actually changes or elevates the consciousness of our people. And at the end of the live stream or video, there's no solution.
So let me just get this. I'm gonna finish it off. So you said the conversation is centered around money. So when it comes to these content creators, the conversation is always centered around money. It's always, it's money driven. And like I said earlier, our whole conversation in our communities is about money because We are the low class in America. We were the slaves. We were the workers. We today are those same people. We are the bus drivers. We are the security guards. We are the people that work in your factories, your warehouses, drive trucks. Give me some more. Cut grass, work in fast food. We are those people that keep America running. So the conversation is always about money. And it says it never actually changes or elevates the consciousness of our people, right? It says, and at the end of the live stream or the video for these content creators, there is no solution. Black men and women are left to argue in the comments, right? Driving up clicks, the views, and the impressions, right? If we're going to speak on the Black family and give relationship advice, we should be honest and ask, is this from a place of really caring and finding solutions for our people? Or is it just for the views and the clicks? So this is the thing. When it comes to the ISUPK under Commander Jenny Yohana, we really actually do find solutions for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I've seen brothers get off drugs, sisters stop being whores. I've seen people change their lives completely, right? We do find solutions. We do have the solution to the woes and the problems that are within our communities.
Right.
But when you look on social media and these content creators that talk about relationships, they do not have the solution. They cannot fix. In fact, these people that Black and Hispanic people follow, I would challenge you to actually look at them and see. Look at them and observe them and see if they have ever helped anyone. I'm going to leave you with this analogy, right? Let me read this bill. I'm going to leave you with this analogy, right? Now, like I'm going to tell you, this is in the vlog. So I'm going to tell you, I didn't grow up, right? I did not grow up knowing about vehicles or cars. I was not taught, but I do have family that knew about cars, right? And most people go through what is it, auto shop in high school? What is it called?
It's called auto tech.
Auto tech in high school, right? Well, I didn't go through that. So I became a grown man who didn't know how to change a tire, right? And so I looked at a content creator, right, that worked on cars. And from this person, I learned how to fix a multitude of problems on my personal vehicle, right? The point is that they were able to demonstrate to me on camera how to fix certain issues. When I came into the truth, now let me just rewind it. When I was in the Christian church, and the Christian church had a multitude of issues within the Christian church. I personally seen molestation. I've seen a deacon sleep with a young girl. I've seen, I've seen the first lady be spiteful and mean to people. So I've seen a lot of dysfunction. I even seen where I stayed at, I've seen, not when I was at the church, but I've seen someone get shot and murdered in front of the church on Sunday while the church was going on. The point that I'm making is that when I came into the ISUPK, it was the first time that I actually seen people be fixed. Not from social media advice, but from real counsel, real life people dealing with you and your issues and your dysfunctions of your family and fixing you. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've lived it. You understand? So if you're following these content creators that talk about relationships, and that's their specific thing that they talk about, and you're following them, what you need to ask yourself is, with all the advice that they're giving, have they fixed anybody? Have they healed a family? Have they gotten somebody off of drugs? Have they brought a man and woman together to go back into a healthy family relationship? And if they have not done that, right? If they have not displayed that, then maybe you're in the wrong place and maybe you're listening to the wrong people. The ISUPK has the answers to fix your family. The ISUPK has the answers to make you have a future with the woman that you probably thinking you ain't got no future with, but you love her. The ISUPK has the answers to help you reconcile your differences. And these content relationship gurus, love specialists, influencers do not. You understand? With that, I'm gonna pass the class to Priest and Officer Asha Ward. Let's clap it up.
When the Israel Michael, can you stand for the good one courtesy salute to the teacher? When the Israel, Michael Shabbat, Michael Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yadi Watah, class dismissed.
Hey, shalom, Israel. The water for water.